Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the regular council meeting for the Corporation of the Township of Minden Hills for Thursday, January 30, 2025. In review of today's agenda, there is a public meeting for Report 25-03, Finance Fees and Services, Township Fees and Charges Bylaw, and there is no closed session meeting. Madam Clerk, please proceed with a roll call to confirm attendance.
Councillor Sisson,
Present.
Councillor Saini,
Present.
Councillor McKelvey,
Present.
Councillor Johannesson,
Present.
Councillor Ingram,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shell,
Present.
Mayor Carter.
Present. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Minden Hills is located on Treaty 20 Michisagi territory and in the traditional territory of the Michisagi and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which are Curve Lake, Rama, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. We acknowledge the shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original Indigenous inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. I call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. Madam Clerk, please proceed with reading the resolution for the approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Sisson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Shell. Be it resolved that the January 30th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
All those in favor? That is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we will proceed with the public meetings. Madam Clerk, please proceed with reading the resolution.
Moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Saini, that council adjourn its regular council meeting to proceed into a public meeting regarding Report 2503, Finance, Fees and Services at 9:02 a.m.
All those in favor? That is carried. I call this public meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. Public meeting is held to receive public input regarding proposed changes to the township's fees and charges bylaw regarding schedules. Schedule A, building, housekeeping change. Schedule B, administration. Schedule C, fire. Schedule D, cultural center programs and facilities. Schedule F, planning department fees. Schedule H, community services and programs and facilities. Schedule I, water, sewer, and landfill. Would our Director of Finance please join us? I'll let you start.
Good morning, Mayor and Council and the public. We'll go right into Schedule A. And I would ask if there's any questions or comments on the proposed changes. Being none. Okay, we will move into Schedule B, administration. Is there any comments or concerns regarding Schedule B? Seeing none. Moving on to Schedule C. Is there any comments or concerns regarding this schedule? Seeing none. Okay, on to Schedule D. Is there any comments or concerns with Schedule D for cultural center programs and facilities? Seeing none. Moving on to Schedule F, planning development fees. Is there any comments or concerns on this schedule?
Councilor McKelvey?
Just a comment, and maybe it's going to come back. The roads department was in Schedule E. I think I'd mentioned before about raising these. Is that going to be part of this report analysis that's coming back later?
Yeah.
Okay. So my other question on planning is actually not really necessarily a question as much as an update that Dysart has changed their fees, and the minor zoning bylaw amendment application, we're at 1,200. They've put theirs to 1,500. I don't know if there's an appetite for that. The road closing application, Shoreline Road and regular road allowance. We're going to 1,200. We're at 900. They have also done this compliance letters where it's a staged. If you want a quick one, you pay more. Theirs are a little bit lower than ours actually, and I don't think no, I'm sorry, they're not. They've gone up to 240. And 300 if you want it within 5 days.
Sorry, was there?
Well, I'm just like, is everybody prepared to change these or are we just gonna carry on?
Or would council recommend to bring that back in the other review in March?
I think it's pretty hard to chasing the other municipalities every time they change, but you know, if we are going to be having review after the first quarter, well, then if we want to change things, we can. Madam CAO?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to members of council, I think it's important if we're going to be making changes to planning fees that we advertise the changes that we're making. So if that is a consideration, I mean, staff is happy to bring that back in March when we bring the other fees forward, if it's not too much of an inconvenience.
Madam CAO, did you have?
No, Mr. Mayor, I was just alerting you that the clerk had a comment.
Your microphone is on, so. All right, any other comments?
Okay, so does council wanna bring that portion back in March? And review it again?
Sure.
Okay, so we will move that one to March. Is there any other questions before I move forward on that? Moving on to Schedule H, Community Services Programming and Facilities. Is there any comments or concerns on that one?
Council McKelvey?
I think, so which, sorry, G is, so which one do you want again now? So
H.
cemetery.
I was just going,
Okay, so we're going to H, sorry. I think it's in here, but somewhere in here. The drop-in program still includes public skating in the wording. Just trying to find it. I'm on page 24 of 33. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. I'm on that one.
Drop-in program still includes public skating in the verbiage. The other thing is the changes to the community rentals. Community center rentals, I still am concerned we're pricing ourselves at a market here.
Any other comments?
So is there a, okay, Schedule I, water, sewer and landfill. Is there any comments or concerns on that? No? Okay. Well, put it back over to the clerk for. Do we just proceed with the resolution?
No.
I'm sorry.
So through the mayor, so this is the public meeting portion, so we just need to follow. Basically, there's no members of public in attendance. And there are no members that have joined electronically. Council's just kind of reviewed the changes for public information. And now we'll just, if you want to finish, Mr. Mayor, just acknowledging, if council has any further questions or concerns. And then we'll end the public meeting, and then we'll, if there's a resolution that needs to be drafted, we'll do it in the department section of the agenda.
So the change, or the verbiage,
Yeah, that will be
we would,
addressed for a drop.
we would then have to accept it as amended or something. What, later on?
Correct. We can discuss that in
Okay.
further that's correct.
Council McKelvey?
Sorry, the other question I had was the ice rental. And for some reason, we are going forward with a 2026 rate only for summer ice for minor hockey and skating club. I'm just trying to figure out why is that? Why have we done those for next year?
So I'll defer to Doctor to answer.
So through the chair, just take a knee here. The reason for bringing it forth, because we most likely won't be changing any of the other ice rates in 2026, but to get us up to the same minor rate as our neighboring municipalities, we are just putting forth that this rate change is 2025 going to the 130 and then going in September in 2026 for the 145.50. So that gives the figure skating club and the minor groups to know the upcoming changes.
Council McKelvey?
So we're going to increase minor hockey and skating club for the summer ice, in 2026, but we're not going to increase anything else. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah, through the chair, there isn't intentions for changing the ice in the conversations with Dysart, where we're projecting to move our ice and we're trying to stay as aligned as we can in the increases. This is just to get us up to match with Dysart.
Okay, any other questions? The public meeting process for the proposed changes to the township's fees and charges bylaw is now complete. The report will be further discussed under section 15.7.5 administration. I now declare this public meeting adjourned at 9:13 a.m.
Mr. Mayor, may I read the resolution to go back into open session?
Yes, go ahead.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Shell, seconded by Councillor McKelvey, that council adjourn its public meetings and resumes its regular council meeting at 9:13 a.m.
All those in favor? That is carried. Delegations, adoption of minutes for January 9th, regular minutes, January 9th, public meetings, January 14th and 16th, special council minutes on the budget. Are there any comments or amendments from members of council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Moved by Councillor Saney, seconded by Councillor Ivan Ingram, that council approves the following meeting minutes: January 9th, 2025 regular minutes, January 9th, 2025 public meeting minutes for applications PLZBA 2024-061 and PLZBA 2024-067, and January 14th and 16th, 2025 special council minutes regarding budget.
All those in favor? That is carried. Payment of accounts for January 30th. Any comments or questions from council? Councillor Sisson.
I have a few here. There's some bills here for fire truck number 7. It looks like it might have had a bit of a mishap, but our chief has left, so I just wondered what happened. Like, is there something was it an accident or what was it?
Yeah, I would have to follow back up and look
Okay.
at the actual invoice to
And
bring that back.
thank you. The next one I have is the fire hydrant. Did we ever get a bill yet for the extensions? Because we've never heard nothing about it. And there's a charge on here for probably $45,000 for extensions. Where's that coming from?
So that's part of the project and that will be coming back to council with an update in the projects.
Okay, because I know that's over budget by a long ways, by 45,000 probably.
There has been some adjustments in that project, so.
Okay, and I know our Director of Public Works isn't here, but there's some tow calls on here. And I just wondered, is that being, cars being towed from the snowplow way, or is that our own use? And if so, why aren't we using our own vehicle to tow ourselves out? I mean, that's been done in the past numerous
Yeah.
times.
You
with the
can't
loader and the
really,
grader and so on.
can't
So
really under risk management tow our own vehicles out because if something happened, that's part of risk management.
we
It would
always
have to
done-
be done by somebody that's insured for that.
We've always done it in the past. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like there's no end to the spending here. Thank you.
Okay,
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have it moved by Counselor McKelvey, but if I could have a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Shell. Moved by Counselor McKelvey, seconded by Deputy Mayor Shell. Be it resolved that the accounts in the amount of $1,367,942.12 be approved for payment.
All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank
Moving on to the mayor's report. Last night we had what I believe was a fairly successful community engagement. And it will be followed up tonight by another one, which is a virtual town hall, if you will. And, encourage everybody to participate as this is the first start of our strategic planning. And this is getting the information from, the township as to how people want to proceed, how they'd like to see the community go forward, to grow, to expand, whatever. So this is your opportunity to give us your input. There is also a survey online. I believe there's been, I heard 400 plus people who have answered that. And so again, I encourage anybody who wants to please answer that. All this information will be used by council to figure our way forward. The second point I wanted to bring up was on Monday. We heard that Kawartha Lakes Halliburton Housing Corporation, we received $3.2 million approximately for 2 housing projects, one of which is in Kawartha Lakes, but 2.4 million of that was for the project that we have here in Minden on 35, just near the Legion. So that $2.4 million is very, very welcome. We're in this process the Housing Corporation is in the process of getting new bids for that building. So there'll be more news coming forward. I had hoped and expected that there'd be a press release on this, but it turns out that one of the things that happens is when you apply for this money, you in your application, you agree that the province controls the press releases. And if they put out a press release, well, then you can put out a press release. If they don't put out a press release, you then have to ask for their permission to put a press release. Unfortunately, the election was called shortly thereafter. Needless to say, on Monday, the province made lots of, I guess, press notable donations across the province. And so not every one of them was had a press release associated with it. But eventually we will get the the news out to everybody that this has happened, but that 2.4 million is got me very excited that we will actually be breaking ground on this project this year. As noted, the election was called. We mayors and councilors, we're in the business of getting things done. We don't associate ourselves with any political party because whoever is in power, we have to deal with them. Like it or not, the province has the money, and many of our projects, our grants, are, the funding that we get comes from the province. So whoever is in power, we have to deal with them. I know it's the early start of this very short election period. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but I have noted that in the first couple of days, there's lots of, I guess, interesting commentary on the on social media. I guess what I ask is that no matter who you support, we have to go forward as a community. So, at least try to be nice to one another in the commentary. There's life is too short to be taking all of this personal. Whoever you support, that's fine. Whoever somebody else supports, please respect their decision. But let's keep it civil because we have to come together at the end of this election as a community and deal with whomever gets elected. Last week was the Roma meeting, which is all of the rural municipalities across Ontario gathered. 2,500 of us or so gathered in one small petri dish as they brought all their various respiratory colds and flus and so on. Many people got things like hats and seeds and things. I got a cold. But having said that, for me personally, and hopefully for the township, I was able to get a number of one-on-one meetings with the Attorney General, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Natural Resources, and also Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. So there were a couple of things that we are working on, and so it was very productive that way. The other thing that it was, we were able to talk to many other municipalities and hear about a lot of our common concerns, a lot of which revolved around money. And so this is something that is will continue to go forward. This is often the best time to ask for money during an election period, but after beginning of March, we'll have a new government and we will see what happens, but hopefully we will be able to get a better deal for the municipalities. Now, Deputy Mayor Shell, you were also there. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. So, first of all, one of the things I find most about going to the conferences, the plenary sessions are great, but it's more about the networking and even just sitting down at the table and, having a meal with fellow councillors from within the county that I don't sit with at the county table. And just talking to people from other municipalities. I find that probably the most valuable that I get from it. But there was one, and this kind of goes back to what you're saying about, social media and the way people treat each other. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it, and maybe Counselor Sweeney can, but it's a mayor from, and again, I can't remember where she was from. It's irrelevant, but there was something they were discussing something, within the community that they were basically accusing council of doing. I think they were called 15-minute cities or something, which was not true. It kind of exploded online. They had their meeting in the evening. The council chambers were full. The outside of the council chambers were also full. And they were completely unruly. They were threatening of the council and of the mayor. The mayor several times with her gavel said, we can't carry on unless you stop. It just carried on and on and on. They went out, they were threatening the staff. It was an absolute, I almost said the wrong word, crap show. And it makes you wonder, I don't think people realize exactly, like sitting here, how much abuse we're actually taking now compared to what we would have when I was even started here 18, almost 19 years ago, with social media, with people it's like they have a right to abuse you. And I know, quite frankly, I'm getting sick of it, but hearing how this mayor, she said there was people, like the guy had a knife, one gentleman had a knife strapped to his leg. She ended up canceling the whole meeting right then. She said she didn't feel safe. They had to hide in the council chambers for almost 2 hours after the meeting until everybody could clear out. They were scared to leave. And then when they did reconvene, they actually had to hire police officers to be there for the meeting, which the item that was being discussed was not even like, it wasn't even true what the town, or what the town folk, I should say, was assuming that council were doing, and I mean, we sit here making $23,000 a year, and people seem to just think that, anyway, that was the biggest take. And when I went into this session, and Shirley will say the same thing, I didn't even think that the session was about that until this mayor started to speak. And I thought, it's getting worse instead of better. And just to your point of what you'd said about online stuff, that's probably it. That stuck with me, that story, what she said, because she actually showed the video from the meeting, and you could hear you'd almost feel the fear, because people were, if you've got like council members sitting like this, but they had the public behind them, and they were screaming and yelling and trying to get through the doors. And they said they were upset because the mayor said, listen, you can't come in, even though there may be more standing room, because of the capacity of the room. Well, then they were mad, blaming the council for, shutting people out. And they had to explain, no, it's the fire code. It's nothing to do with us. Anyway, like I said, lots of great plenary sessions, lots of great networking, but that really stood out in my mind and has stuck with me ever since I heard her speak about just how the public thinks they can treat anybody, I guess, staff, anybody, even in the grocery store for that matter. It doesn't have to be a member of council. Anyway, I just hope we can all start to learn to do a little bit better, because quite frankly, I'm tired of it and will not be taking it anymore.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Shell. Councillor Johannes, and that was your Roma.
Thank you. So this was my first Roma Rural Roots Conference, and it certainly won't be my last. The turnout was impressive, with nearly 2,000 attendees from across our beautiful province. It was wonderful to meet and interact with other public servants who share our dedication to those we serve daily. I must admit that it has been many years since I have wandered the skyscrapers and underground malls of downtown Toronto. The density of everything from buildings to people made me love our town of Minden a little more, and I didn't think that was possible. From the moment I arrived, you could feel that downtown energy, the hustle and bustle, and that set the tone for an engaging conference. The program began early Sunday with registration, followed by various informative sessions. I attended several notable presentations, including rural responses to mental health, addiction, and homelessness, an eye-opening discussion that emphasized the importance of prevention and long-term support strategies. Among the conference highlights was journalist Chantel Hebert Unplugged session, examining the U.S. presidency, liberal leadership race, and upcoming federal election, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The program also featured Minister of Rural Affairs Lisa Thompson's valuable sessions on protecting employees from unreasonable behavior, and discussions on infrastructure development, and the Honorable Rob Black, Minister of Agriculture. We gained important insights into healthcare access and the AMO Healthy Democracy Project, along with presentations from opposition leader Merritt Stiles and of course Premier Doug Ford. The trade show provided excellent networking opportunities, and I particularly valued the chance to connect with Roma board members, which was a real treat. It was encouraging to see strong representation from the Minden Hills Council throughout the conference.
Thank you. So that wraps up Roma for this year. AMO, which is Roma plus the big cities, gets to meet in August in Ottawa. Councillor Saini, would you like to talk about the Roma board and I guess also the conference?
Yes, thank you very much. And through the mayor, it's, I gotta say, it's been a real privilege to serve as a counselor for Minden Hills, and I'm very proud of our community and I love this place. And as our other counselors recommended, we love it even more when we see what other people are coping with and doing, and how important it is, the work that we're doing here, and recognizing that in the broader context. And particularly what we're seeing right now in these political times that our deputy mayor pointed out, it's very turbulent political times that we're dealing in, both federal, provincial, and local. And there's a lot of changes in our world through AI and misinformation, and how important it is that we sit down and have a strategy on how we continue to be a strong community and work together. And I think one of the things that that I particularly becoming more and more aware of is cultural dominance, if I use that word, and how we're seeing different cultures and what they are like. So as I was preparing for my board meeting at Roma in my hotel room, I turned on the television and the first thing that was on there was a US news station, and how blasphemy they were towards each other, and how anything around DEI, I don't even know the acronyms, it's just people of difference, how blasphemy there was of accusing things like the California fires on someone who was gay, and all of these sorts of things that were just really off-putting. Then I switched over to a Canadian station and I watched the Order of Canada and all these amazing people that did amazing things in Canada, and just said, this is where I want to be. This is what Canada is about. And I think what we really have to watch for is cultural dominance. And the work that's being done by our cultural committee here, the work that's being done by our cultural center here in Minden, and we have one, which is not every municipality doesn't have such priority and focus. That is really so important to me to understand that this is part of our culture. It's not just the political decisions we make. It's the stuff that happens every day among civil society, between our neighbors. There's different levels of government. But if you look at what's going on financially right now, you'll see that the municipalities are taking more and more on of downloading from the federals to the province to municipalities. And that downloading is hurting all of us a great deal. And we cannot continue to raise taxes in order to support the basic services that we need to support, and particularly the ones that the province is responsible for. And so one of the things that was done at our Roma conference was a launch regarding the elections, because we all suspected the rumors were they were coming quick and fast. So I'd like to just kind of highlight some of the things about voting, because this is something, once again, that is important for us as a culture to understand, not get our information secondhand AI or attitudes when we get out of bed in the morning. As our mayor pointed out, we work as nonpartisan. We work for the best of our communities. And in doing that, we have to identify the issues and have research showing us that this is in fact true, research that we can depend on. And that's what we do with Roma and AMO in terms of our positions. So in a nonpartisan platform, what we're looking at is asking people to vote like the quality of your life depends on it, because it does. And so this is one of the most crucial things that have come out. We are looking at homelessness. Here in Minden, we have people living in their cars. In Halliburton, we have people trying to survive. Someone's made a comment about something in the forest at a meeting, and all I thought about was the people in our forest living in a tent right now. We have a homeless issue right here. We have it across the province. So in the research, it showed that provincial policies have left 80,000 homeless in Ontario and 1,400 encampments in public parks. As pointed out, when we went out to eat as a group, we saw people sleeping on the registers of the subway heating systems in Toronto. We can't see homelessness as clearly here as we see it in those other places. But these are provincial responsibilities. They're not municipal responsibilities. Yet you can see how we're taking on the provincial responsibility, even as the mayor pointed out, the homes that we're building here. It's great to have that $2.4 million, but how much more is that building at a cost? And why are we taking it from our taxpayers and from our businesses and small businesses that are struggling when it's a provincial responsibility? And if we look at what's going on with the homelessness right now, since 2022, homelessness has increased in Ontario 25%. That's huge. And if it continues on, it'll reach 300,000 in no time from the 80,000. So you can see we have some major issues here that we are elected to put forward and take to the province. We need to inform the public of what the issues are. As a council, we need to focus on those issues that are really, really important, that no one else has that privilege that we have to go to these conferences, to meet with the other politicians from the provincial and federal level, and to make our demands very clear. And we have to continue to do that and make sure that remains our focus to be a good community. The AMO positions, what they're putting forward, is calling for provincial government to take comprehensive action on the opioid crisis. We know we have an increasing issue in rural areas as well. And this includes investment in prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and enforcement. We are also looking at community partnering to prevent and reduce and eliminate and end homelessness in Ontario. Homelessness just doesn't come. It comes with other factors that contribute to that homelessness. And nobody spoke to that better than an Indigenous man within one of our conference sessions who talked about homelessness. And I won't go into the details, but it was a very rich conference in that way. And AMO is calling for provincial government to work with municipalities and the broader sector to develop and implement provincial sector-wide health human resource strategy to improve access to health services across the province. We have a problem here in Minden. We all know when our emergency was closed, this seems so illogical. It did not make sense. It still doesn't. So what is the broader plan? Let's work together. We shouldn't be the one funding that at this level when it is in fact regulated and organized at a provincial level that dictates how these things should roll out. So what we need to do is address this with our parliamentarians, and the whole community and beyond needs to address this in the upcoming elections to bring these questions forward to the candidates. One of the things that came out of our sessions, and I think this might have been what's called the bear pit? And what happens is all the ministers are lined up and they can take questions from the floor. But one of the questions that was so important, I think that's where it took place, was comparing getting doctors in our communities to the Hunger Game. If you've seen the Hunger Games, it's like, we'll give you this amount of money if you come to our community. So we're competing now. We had a local group here of volunteers come and ask us if we could contribute to the money that they're giving extra to doctors to bring them to our area. That shouldn't have to happen under good provincial policies. This is not our responsibility. It should be the provincial responsibility, addressing healthcare, addressing schools, addressing our seniors. I had the opportunity to chair a few sessions, and one of the sessions I chaired was with a First Nations group, the Friendship Centers. and how powerful. And I'm not going to pronounce the woman who is presenting her name properly, but I will do the translation. Her name is translated as Thunderbolt. She was a woman who was in desperate situation, and we can see how this came across, how she ended up there through our residential schools. I don't need to go into the full background, but we can see why people who are Indigenous are more marginalized in the community, more homelessness, more addictions relative to population. She came forward and talked about her struggles and how important that friendship center was to her to become a strong mother and a strong leader in her community. And I would have to stay a strong leader at Roma as well. Her experience is about friendship centers working with other cultural centers and finding ways that people can have a healthy life and support each other. And that's at a very civil level. And that's what we need to achieve here as well, and need to continue that process as a community. And that's what we are so proud of as well, is that kind of community where we can disagree. I must say, this mayor, the past mayor, we've disagreed a few times, but we're both on the same page in trying to support this community and do the best job that we can for it, along with the other councilors here and deputy mayor. So I think the most important thing is to look at the elections coming forward, get the facts, have good discussions. I enjoy arguing with people that disagree with me because it helps stimulate how I disagree or see things differently. It's an exciting time to do that, but do it with respect and take turns buying the next round. So this is really important for our community right now. So why I'm raising this is because I'm hoping that we can put some of this information on AMO and what they're calling for, particularly a review of the social and economic priorities for the province. And we want the province to sit down with us, whatever party is there, to have a social and economic prosperity review so the funding comes through and municipalities are no longer trying to raise taxes to support the provincial responsibilities. We can't keep taking it from people who are on fixed incomes, from seniors, and from our businesses trying to survive. So we need to really sit down and have that social economic prosperity review. So I think the next report I give will be a little bit more focused on numbers and what we did at Roma, our delegation that we had with the ministers. But right now, I think the most important thing is to realize that this government now cannot act. So anything that comes forward during this election is not anything that can be moved upon. We have to wait for whatever government is coming forward. So I do hope that 2.4 million that we're getting is actually been approved. And I hear, I see that's it's been approved. So it will be coming this way in spite of the call for the elections. But a lot of other things and promises will be put on hold. And then we have to see. But just know that right now, if we don't do something very drastic, the increase of homelessness, the opioid crisis is increasing exponentially. So please vote wisely, and thank you for supporting me and supporting my position on the Roma board.
Thank you, Councillor Saini. We move now to correspondence and communications. Councillor Johannesson has requested item 11.2 and 11.8 be pulled forward for discussion. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Saini, seconded by Counselor Johansson, that council directs correspondence and communication items 11.2 and 11.8 be pulled for discussion.
All those in favor? Is carried. We read the next one?
Yes. Moved by Counselor Sisson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Shell, that council receives correspondence and communication items 11.1, 11.3 through to 11.7 and 11.9 as information.
All those in favor? That is carried. The first item was the letter from Lisa Thompson, Minister of Rural Affairs. Read the new plan to support rural economic development. Councillor Johannesson, what did you?
For it, just since the conference and whatnot.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments about this? Counselor McKelvey?
Not directly on here, but it's just the whole red program. I believe we applied for funding for the cultural center roof under the red program. I'm just wondering if it was approved. We even have a chair for you.
So we did apply through the red grant, but it wasn't approved because of the work and the grant specifications.
And I believe the red grant was, has now been superseded by, you remember what it was? There's a new acronym. It's road or something like that, so there's. Yeah. So I think there'll be an uptake of requests, well, when the new government is formed and we'll see from that. All right, please read the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Sini, seconded by Counselor Johansson, that council receives correspondence item 11.2 from the Honorable Lisa Thompson, Minister of Rural Affairs, regarding a new plan to support rural economic development as information.
All those in favor? That's carried. 11.8. Counselor Johansson, did you have anything in particular you wanted to?
No, no, the same.
Yeah, I think this is, Lisa Thompson has taken her role very, very seriously in this, as they broke up what was OMAFRA, which was Agriculture and Rural Affairs, and they broke it into now two different groups. I think to a certain extent because of on the agriculture side, a lot of dealings with agribusiness and so on. They wanted to keep that separate, but the rural affairs portfolio, which again, depending on who gets into power, we'll see if it still exists in the new government. But certainly Ms. Thompson put forth a lot of effort that she not only in the writings here, but also in her presentations at Roma. There's an awful lot going on there, and it's a good thing to be able to get all the rural communities together to, I mean, we're all fighting the same battles. That's right. Counselor Saini?
Yes, just to build on what you said, we've had several meetings with Lisa Thompson. She is a mover and shaker for rural areas, there is no doubt, and I suspect she had a lot to do with taking the issues for rural Ontario and making sure that they were part and separate from, not necessarily separate totally, but identified along with the OMAFRA. And so the teeny tiny summations will also be transferred over to the rural portfolio. But she has been just a mover and shaker for rural areas. She's very personable, and she walks the walk and talks the talk from what I have been able to learn from her and the work that she does. It's just something to recognize, and I think that's why we have a rural now department or ministry. Thank you.
Please read the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Johansson, seconded by Counselor Saini, that council receives correspondence item 11.8 from the Honorable Lisa Thompson, Ministry of Rural Affairs, regarding the 2024 year in review and grading as information.
All those in favor? It's carried. Start with community services. Whenever you're ready.
Good morning. So monthly report for 2505 for November and December. So a busy time of the month for us. We had a couple of tournaments going in there and add-in tournament, as well as some sponsorships to the skating program. I did receive an update on the skating harness yesterday. Unfortunately, the police are about 3 weeks away. Unfortunately, that is the safety part of the whole system. So I continue to bother my poor sales rep every day for that. The Dawson Hamilton Memorial Outdoor Rink has put in, staff has taken notes of from feedback that we have received from the community as well. For the Community Service Department, the outdoor rink for the majority of our team, this is the first time of us doing an outdoor rink. So a big learning curve as we watched and spoke to our fellow colleagues on doing it. So we have some different preparation and ideas for next year as well, but it is there and accessible from there. Working in some drop-in programs for the PA Day tomorrow. And then the Cultural Center continuing with their programming and preparation for PA Days as well as March break.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor Shell.
I don't have a question, just more of a comment that it was nice to see the rink go up. And yeah, one of the things I had thought of is, and I'm sure you will as well, and you may have heard this, but maybe if we were to put it up before it gets super cold out, it's maybe a little more gentler on the boards and the material. And now, just in my mind, I'm thinking if you had the boards up, that you may, even if there wasn't snow on the ground, you might have people or kids in there playing some kind of a floor hockey. But does the tarp have to go down before the boards?
So it's an interesting, you want to get your tarp down and over and then the boards on top.
Okay.
So it's, you put like one tarp and then you do a secondary
Okay.
tarp that we've learned.
Oh, okay.
We're
Yeah.
getting smarter.
Yeah. Okay. No, because then I got thinking, but then if the tarp had to go down and the board's on, then you might have people in
Yeah.
there playing on it and it might destroy the tarp. So anyway, I'll leave it with you. It was how my mind was thinking of having it up a bit earlier, but thank you for that.
Any other questions? Councilor McKelvey?
Just another opportunity. Councillor Ingram suggested he would like to come help with the skating rink and has done it a few times in his past, so maybe that expertise could be taken advantage of. I'd like to make sure he's earning his paychecks. Other question is the library parking lot and the snow removal along the sidewalk. Now, I have brought this up a couple times, but I'm still getting calls about it. So there's a walkway along the wall. It's in front of where people park. It is covered in a very high bank of snow. I'm trying to figure out why we're not removing that, because now people are having to park in a disabled parking spot and either try to climb the snowbank, which isn't even an option anymore, or they're going behind their vehicles, or children are going behind the vehicles. It's just not a safe, and I don't know, is that you or is that Mike?
So through the chair to you, yes. So we've had some review, some of our new staff, just reviewing with them that walkway needs to be removed, and also working with Public Works of if we get it cleared and then they do the parking lot, that snowbank to there. So we're just working together, but all team members have been reviewed of that walkway in front of the retaining wall needs to be cleared.
Sir McKelvey?
Okay, so like this morning, it's still there. I'm just like, we can review and review and review, but is somebody going to shovel? That's what I need to know, because the people calling me, and I'm an avid library user, so I'm there a lot. It's not just municipal policies that I read all the time, just so that you all know that. I go and buy book or get books there too. And it's like, it's a huge pile of snow and nobody can, so we can review it. Is somebody actually implementing? That's what
Yeah, so it was removed yesterday,
It's still there this
the
morning.
walkway. So I will go back to the library and bring the team members down to do it, but they had it removed yesterday. So I don't know if you're talking about like on the actual walkway or in the parking lot.
Well, if you go up there and park, particularly in a disabled spot, and have a look, you'll know what I'm talking. It's a big mound of snow that's in front of your vehicle to try and get to the walkway. So I don't know. I'm sure if you look at it.
Yep, we'll investigate and work with Public Works.
Counselor Sisson?
I have to ask, is this the best place for the Dawson Hamilton rink? Because I was up there on Tuesday, you couldn't even find it for snow. It's right on the Skidoo Trail pretty much where you're parking cars. Why don't we use the tennis courts? There's parking there. It's a good solid surface. I mean, it's handy to everybody to know where it is. Like, it's way out in the middle of the field. Like, I don't think it's a good spot for it myself.
Madam CAO?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think very good comments from council. I think to Councillor Sisson's point, what I heard Ms. McGuigan say is we're going to do a debriefing and a full review of the outdoor rink. So to your point, Councillor Sisson will review the location. Councillor McKelvey's concern about the parking lot, she has alerted me on a couple of occasions about this. And my recommendation would be we fully review that and get it corrected. So we'll take that offline, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Saney, seconded by Counselor Ingram, that council receives report 2505, Community Services Department Activity Report for the months of November and December 2024 is information.
All those in favor? That is carried. Ms. Reagan, thank you. Chief Kruger, please join us before you're called out again.
Good morning.
I know.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Fortunately, it wasn't as serious as it initially appeared to be. So you have before you the monthly report, our stats report. As of note, medical calls were the largest number of calls again, followed by car accidents, which is normal for December. Numbers for December of 2024 were very similar to December of 2023. And overall for the entire year in 2023, we had 376 calls for service for the year. And for 2024, the fire department had 376 calls for service. So very consistent. Also noted in the report, obviously for December, we ramped up our public education efforts. We participated in the 12 days of holiday safety and we change out our signboard out in front of the fire hall regularly to include messages that coincide with the season. One that we are leaving up that we might have removed by this time of year, but seems to have not been getting through is the no ice is safe ice. The fire department, I know we're jumping ahead to January, but the fire department has responded to 5 calls for service out on the ice in the last 2 weeks. Other than that, you'll notice that the training schedule for December was slightly lower. That's due to the holidays. We did provide the firefighters with some online training that they could do over the holidays so that they could enjoy some time with their family. And with that, I will open it up to questions.
Councilor McKelvey?
Something I had heard was that the changes to the tiered response is coming and it might end up actually lowering the number of calls that you guys are and gals are called out.
So through the chair to Councilor McKelvey, yes, the change to the new system for the paramedics province-wide is, I've been told, coming to Alberta County in the spring. As far as whether it will reduce or increase our call volume for medical calls, at this point, there's no definitive answer. It was thought that it might reduce our call volume for medical calls. However, in discussion with the paramedics, there is a feeling that it may actually increase our number of calls for medical calls, because the way the new system will work is the paramedics will be triaged and rerouted to calls of a more serious nature, or what they deem as a more serious nature. And so there is a thought that fire may end up getting sent to some of those calls where the paramedics or the 911 operator has deemed that the person can wait. And so fire may get called to those to deal with them. So at this point, there's no definitive answer one way or the other.
question, just what are the ice conditions like in general? I mean, I see a lot of open water, more than normal, even though we've had this cold period. But I fear that some of the ice that was not very thick has got an insulation of snow over the top.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, that's absolutely that that is what happens with so much snow on top of the ice. The ice does not form quite as thick as it might otherwise. As far as ice conditions, yes, there are a number of the lakes that still have open water. A great many of our bodies of water have a current running through them, which creates for thin ice. In particular, I know at this point in time, there are 3 sleds at the bottom of Gull Lake. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries.
So everybody be careful out there.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I'm just wondering if, oh, jeez. If Counselor Sisson could possibly have the questions answered now that the chief has returned, just
great.
regarding those charges maybe, or maybe if
Yes.
there had been an incident?
It was on the accounts. They was asking about truck number 7. Was there an accident or an incident with that truck? There seemed to be a lot of money spent on it.
Through the chair to Councillor Sisson, that's a bit of a sore point. But yes, there was an incident involving actually 2 of our apparatus. One apparatus was crashed into another apparatus, causing damage to both apparatus. And so, yes, that's what the expense was for.
Any other
And
questions?
actually, if I may,
Go ahead.
and just for your peace of mind, the firefighter was given some remedial driver training.
Okay,
Moved by Deputy Mayor Shell, seconded by Councillor McKelvey, that council receives report 25001, December 2024, fire summary as information.
all those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you.
Is 10:02. We will take a break until 10:15 and return with building and bylaw services. Welcome back. We'll commence with building and bylaw services. Are you ready? Please.
Good morning,
start.
Mayor and Council. This morning we have 3 reports to go over here. We have our November monthly report for 2024. The numbers were slightly up with building permits, 30 as compared to 25 the year previous. Septic permits were down a little bit that month. We're down to 9 as opposed to 13 the previous year. As you can see that we've had a busy bylaw month in November. Lots of site visits, new investigations started. We've closed a bunch of other files as well. We are hard at work in getting caught up with a lot of the outstanding bylaw files that have been open for a while. And I'm going to take any questions that you may have.
Questions? Councilor McKelvey?
I should have told Lisa to bring this up again because she did bring it up once before, and I don't believe you were here. But property standards complaints were supposed to be changed so that people could put in a complaint without putting their name on it. And I guess the understanding I have of it is that, you know, for something like a property standards or a building without a permit or whatever it might be, you really don't need them to identify themselves and put on the dotted line that they're going to attend court, because it's something visual you go to see and you can tell. As opposed to somebody complaining about fireworks, they obviously have to stand up and be counted because they're going to be the key witness sort of thing. So Deputy Mayor Shell brought this up before, that this had been decided, I believe, in the previous council, that that was no longer required. But I do know that that is what's required still. So I'm wondering if we can have something come back, or so that we once and for all decide what we want done.
We can certainly, through the mayor, we can certainly look at doing that, amending the process in which we have in place at the time for that. That's something we can bring back to you. Not a problem. Happy to.
Maybe the clerk, perhaps you could look back, because I'm pretty sure we did, Vicky, but if that's just
Yeah.
something you can
Yeah.
research.
So through the chair, to Deputy Marshall, staff can work together and collaborate efforts to answer those questions.
So through the chair, no. So it is a cumulative report. It's not a cumulative number. It's a number reflecting the month of,
And just on that note, it's the value that the people put on their application thinking they're not going to be assessed as much as it's really worth. So it's really not inaccurate, because the impact comes out and assesses you anyways. But it's definitely an attempt for people to try and keep things down, but it's not really an accurate thing at all. But
Well, we'll just have to get more honest people. Please read the resolution.
Moved by Councillor McKelvey, seconded by Deputy Mayor Shell, that council receive report 25003, Building and Bylaw Services, November 2024, monthly activity summary as information.
All those in favor? That's carried. Moving right along.
through the chair. So the second report is our monthly activity report for the month of December 2024. As you can see, the total permit numbers are down slightly from the year previous. Obviously in septics at this time of year, we don't get an awful lot of them. We've got a significant change in that number there with regards to that aspect of it. Bylaw tends to be a little bit quieter, starting December into January and all that kind of stuff. So it's not as intense as it is, but again, we are quickly closing off some of these open bylaw files. We've just recently hired a new the bylaw officer, and so they've taken carriage of a lot of what's going on. So we're trying to get a lot of legacy stuff cleaned up and taken care of. Happy to take any questions.
Councilor McKelvey?
Kudos to that catch up. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
One thing I do have a question about is the 2-hour parking limit on Main Street. I understand that we may be out starting to enforce or maybe tell people about it. I mean, it's been a 2-hour parking limit on the Main Street for longer than I've probably been around, but we've never really enforced it for a long time because we didn't have the staff. So is there a plan there, or hopefully better notice, better signage, better?
Through the chair, yes, there is a plan in place. We are going to start with a slow increase. We're going to be giving warnings off from the beginning for the next little short time period. We're looking at improving signage, so there's more signage down the block as opposed to just at the ends of the blocks.
Any other questions? Councilor Saney?
Yes, thank you. And along that same line, maybe if we could have some discussions with business communities as well about the timing and also pointing out to where there's additional parking, such as the parking lot out front here. Just so we make sure the businesses are on board with whatever we have, or if they want to make recommendations to you to bring forward, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Through the chair, may I respond to
Sure.
Councillor Saney? Our newly acquired bylaw officer has been doing rounds. He has been going to the various businesses in the area and talking to them and getting some feedback from them. And so we are looking forward to working collaboratively with the business owners. I know they have concerns with the amount of time that's spent for vehicles that are parked there, particularly in the summertime, with people who come and park and spend the whole day there, and it impacts their day-to-day business. So we are working with them very closely. Yes.
Any other questions? Please read the resolution.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Shell, seconded by Councillor Sisson, that council receive report 25004, Building and Bylaw Services, December 2024 monthly activity summary as information.
All those in favor? That is carried.
One more.
And one more.
All right, so this one is our year-end update, our comparables from year to year. So you can see that our numbers are down slightly from the year previous on the building permit side. We are starting to see a bit of a decline in the construction. It's not as crazy busy as it was a few years ago. So we're starting to see a little bit of a dip there, but for the most part, we're kind of close in numbers as we were the year previous.
Any questions? Could you comment on slightly off topic for this report, but just on your cloud permit and all your automation and how it's going?
Through the chair. So we are currently working very closely with Cloud Permit. We are running through, we are receiving and we are issuing through the system permit applications. We're still fine tuning some of the pieces that come into play, who gets what, when and where. We're still working with Cloud Permit to kind of get some of the kinks out of it.
Right.
But it's moving forward. We're looking forward to implementing the online payment portal, which will facilitate things immensely. We're hopeful that mid-February that'll be up and running. So, but we are receiving, I believe we are at permit number 8 for January through Cloud Permit. We are still using our old system still, because we do have a lot of them that are still in the old City View system that we've got. So we're working through that aspect.
Okay, thank you. No other questions? Please read the resolution.
If I may, through the chair, if I could have a mover, I have a seconder here, but if I could have a mover. please.
Deputy Mayor Shell.
That's okay. It's only a couple. Moved by Deputy Mayor Shell, seconded by Councillor McKelvey, that council receives report 25005, Building and Bylaw Services Activity Update for the 2023-2024 permit year numbers comparison for information.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Authority for Planning and Development.
Good morning, council. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So this is sort of a look at 2024. So I did provide just a summary comparison from 2023 to 2024. Generally, application numbers did go up last year, other than minor variances, which is owing to the fact that we did do a general housekeeping amendment to sort of get rid of some of those redundant or unnecessary or variances that were occurring. I'm happy to report that current applications are on the website. And so we are uploading those as they are deemed complete. And so there are some more that we are processing. So I expect that there will be more coming onto the website in the next couple of weeks. But yes, right now we do have those up, and we're working with the clerk's department to update those as frequently as we can. Also, just a couple of updates that are not in this report. We've had some changes or some updates for source water protection. So the reporting that is due to the Source Water Protection Coalition, that's usually due February 1st. So that is complete now. As well, letters have been sent to the property owners that do require the risk management plans, and Cambium together with staff are intending to do the site visits on February 11th. So I will have an update for council at the next update meeting as well.
Any questions? Councillor McKelvey?
There was somewhere in here, I'm not sure where, but you were coordinating the OP and zoning bylaw consolidation. I just wondered who you're coordinating with.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so we did reach out to a number of different universities, as well as ULinks, and ultimately did proceed with submitting postings for a co-op student. We did receive back a few applications from potentially qualified individuals, and we're currently going through those applications with the intent of hopefully picking a successful candidate who will then work on consolidating those documents.
So when it says on here you're coordinating, we're really not yet. We're not at that stage.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So staff, both the planner and the planning technician have been coordinating the documents that individual will need.
Okay.
And then yes, hopefully soon we will. So the coordinating has been a little bit of compiling the information that person will require. And then myself and HR coordinating with the universities in terms of their process for potentially hiring a co-op student.
And just if I may, where are we putting this person?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So this person, we've arranged for them to be able to work primarily remotely. They are hoping to be able to come into the office if, the opportunity arises, and we do have space that we can utilize right now for them if they do come in.
Moved by Councillor Johannesson, second by Councillor Sini, that council receive report 2503 planning 2024 review and January update for information.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Ms. Lonergan?
So, I guess we'll just follow. Is there any other comments on the recommendation?
So we have the verbiage change.
Yes, for
You're
the
gonna-
drop-in.
That's put in. Okay, are there any other questions, comments?
So if I may
Madam Clerk?
clarify, through the chair, council did sort of suggest that planning come back with the fee analysis as well in March. Is that still council's wish?
Madam CEO?
Right. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think there was direction at the previous council meeting that it's some planning fees And there were some recreational fees and one or two other incidental fees, and we committed to that follow-up analysis report for March. So today, we're just dealing with, I think, the bylaw that's before you with some slight wording amendment that's been suggested today.
Right. Okay,
So if I may, through the chair, I can easily just amend that line, that that council directs staff to proceed and adopt the proposed changes as amended to the fees and charges bylaw.
any other questions, Counselor Saney?
Yes, supporting the motion, but when it comes back, I'm wondering if we could also get an update on the changes that we made to the donations for figure skating. If that could be part of the, just information back to council, because we changed it from an hourly rate for the free skates to, oh, sorry, thank you. I said figure skating, I meant public skating. In public, I figure skate. So if we could just get a report back on how that's panning out in terms of donations versus the charges. If we have any history on that. Thank you.
Sorry, Madam CEO, did you?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think to Councillor Saney's request, either in that follow-up report or perhaps as part of an update report to council. I think we do understand the ask. Thank you.
Counselor McKelvey?
Well, I was just gonna say, this hasn't been implemented yet until we pass it, so they're still paying for public skating now. I just want to make can we get some kind of a statement out about the public skating changing to be by donation so that people know about this change? I think it's a good thing.
Madam Clerk?
So through the chair to Council McKelvey's request, absolutely, we can work with community services to draft a release for the website.
Any other questions? Please read the resolution.
Moved by Councillor Johannesson, seconded by Councillor Saney, that council receives report 2503, finance, fees, and service review, proposed changes to the comprehensive fees and charges bylaw for information, and that council directs staff to proceed and adopt the proposed changes to the fees and charges bylaw as amended.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Ms. Bull, are you gonna stay? Well, we can't see you there. I don't know. I didn't notice. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, council. So the report before council today is basically just to address a request that council had suggested last year. And it was actually to bring forward a service award for the Ontario Senior of the Year Award and submit application. So considering that and having a look at the webpage, I did see some other awards that council may wish to consider as well. And staff just thought that if council could take the time and just sort of review the awards on that page and provide it in the report, if you can sort of give us an idea of what you'd like brought forward, we can bring those forward a month or two prior to the submission of the application, and it will help speed things along. Happy to there are various, I put them in the report, there are various dates and times. Some of them we've already missed because they were January deadlines. However, we can just make a note in the file to bring it forward in 2026. we would bring it forward in 2026 to, yeah.
I know we've discussed this before too, Vicky, but like, for example, I'm just looking at the Ontario Medal for Young Volunteers was January 15th. But when we used to have our Christmas dinner, we always did a young volunteer within the community. You know, is that something maybe we could, because I don't think we've really done that the last couple of years. So it'd be nice if we could do that again. I mean, this is great. We could, do it at the provincial level as well, but there's several, like the Ross Wrigley Award and Gord Monk Award and those kinds of things. And I'd like to see them brought back and made
absolutely.
active again if we can. That would be
Yep.
great.
Through the chair, to Deputy Mayor Shell, that is correct. There were 3 awards, I believe, that we used to entertain during the Christmas party. And staff is happy to discuss that at the department head meeting, and we'll sort out who's going to bring those forward for council's discussion. Okay,
Yeah, one idea might be to give them out at Canada Day or something. We've got lots of people around, something like that. Counselor Sisson.
I think we should still look at this Ontario Senior of the Year Award. We have time to do it this year. Maybe we can put our heads together, put some names out there and award this to somebody.
Councilor McKelvey.
So that's what I'm wondering too, is how do you see this happening? I mean, I could put forth a name and then people think that's a terrible idea or that's a great idea, or so I'm just, it's awkward. How do you see this rolling out? How do we do this?
so through the chair, previous years, what we did was basically sought council's consideration on if they even wanted to submit for the application. And then we would request that council email the clerk's department, whatever names they wanted to put forward on the application. And then we had, if we needed a further discussion, we did. If it was just the one name, we submitted the application. But we're happy to work through that and come back. Like, for instance, this Ontario Senior of the Year Award, the deadline's April 30th. So there's still a bit of time, to coordinate that, and staff can take that away and come back with a procedure for that.
Yeah, hard to do in open sessions.
It would be an in-camera, it would be a closed.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have indicated that. That's,
So what you're looking for from us is to make recommendations, which we will bring forward in a closed session where we can discuss it and decide whether we want to nominate somebody in.
really, is to look at the awards, the honors and awards within the report, and then just tell me which awards council are interested in pursuing to submit an application for. Staff will have a look at the deadlines for those, and we'll bring them forward like a month or 2 before we submit, and then we'll proceed with the process.
Okay, thank you.
Is that clear?
Councilor McKelvey.
So I'm actually looking at the application, like, do you need us to do the actual legwork then to do, like, I'm not sure what you have to submit for these. I mean,
Staff will.
we
fill it.
just need to give you a name.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And you'll have to give, their passport and date of birth and a social security number, so we know their social insurance number, so we know they're ineligible.
Just
Councilor McKelvey.
speaking of that, I got my $200 provincial check in the mail, and it's made out in my maiden name that's never been used since 1981. So I'm not sure you'd want my information if I was to be
Well, they're
nominated.
working with a complete up-to-date list then.
Absolutely. It's a 1981 database.
All right. Any other questions?
So through the chair to council. So is it my understanding that council is only really interested today just in the Ontario Senior of the Year Award, or are there other awards that you would like staff to bring forward for further discussion?
Well,
I
There's the
think
young-
I think they're all worthy, but I would agree with Councillor Sisson and saying like the senior award. I think that's nice, but again, we have our local ones, and
Mhm.
I think if we can do those and perhaps that senior one, I'm I'd be happy with that.
Councilor McKelvey.
So can we get a report back from staff then on these local, like, you know, the Gordon A. Monk Award, that sort of thing? There must be like, you have to be
Description.
this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That I have that written in my action items as a follow-up.
Okay, so
with
we'll
staff.
get that
Yep.
as well. Okay. thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so I do have a resolution, and just a change to the resolution, just to acknowledge this one award. So just a mover and a seconder, if I may.
Councilor Sisson, Deputy Mayor Shell.
Moved by Counselor Sisson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Shell, that council receives report 2503 administration 2025 honors and awards as information, and that council directs staff to bring forward the honor and award application for the Ontario Senior of the Year Award. Deadline for submission April 30th of each year for council's consideration.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now we go to Madam CAO. Bring some music with her.
I got the music in me. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm very pleased to present to you a report about making things happen in Minden. One of the things we've heard clearly through some of our public consultation is the community wants to see things happening in Minden Hills. So we wanted to bring this report to you. It's for your information. The township's been approached by very experienced organizers of music festivals. They live seasonally in this community and want to do something in this community and give back to this community. Very clear that the focus of the festival is twofold. It's family and it's supporting local wherever possible. So before this got too far down the road, council, we wanted you to be aware that staff is working with the organizers. They're renting the fairgrounds on the festival itself will be the weekend of August 24th this year, or August 22nd to 24th, sorry. It's a 3-day festival. I think outlined in the report, you see the key stakeholder groups and partners who have been at the table. I've been at the table. There's a laundry list of logistics, but I can tell you that these organizers have experience and have answers to the questions. We'll continue working with them up into the music festival and throughout, but this is exciting for Minden Hills. I think the spin-off for our businesses in the community, our service clubs will be involved. High school students will have opportunities to volunteer. I'm going to make it clear, council, we're not organizing this event. We're just, we're supporting. So if you want to volunteer, you need to contact the organizers. I think that's it, Mr. Mayor. I'm confident that we can work through any logistics or any concerns that folks have, but I'm very excited that we can have this in our backyard.
Sounds great. Questions, Councilor McKelvey?
I agree with your excitement. This is really good. One question, are they going to have camping? Do you know? I'm hoping.
Through Councillor McKelvey, not camping on the fairground itself, but they're working with local areas.
Okay, because like we always encourage people by having the camping. That's all. I'm just wondering. I don't know if they knew that.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Shell, seconded by Councillor McKelvey, that council receive report 2504 administration Ohana Musical Festival as information.
All those in favor? That is carried. Beyond the bylaws,
Moved by Counselor Sini, seconded by Counselor Hennessy. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be received, read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed. Bylaw 2506, Comprehensive Fees and Charges Bylaw as amended. Bylaw 2513, to authorize the collective agreement, Canadian Union of Public Employees, Local 4286. Bylaw 2515, Council Remuneration. Bylaw 2517, Borrowing of Money. Bylaw 2518, Interim Tax Levies. Bylaw 2519, Appointing the Municipal Law Enforcement Officer. Bylaw 2520, Execution of the Transfer Payment Agreement for the Fire Protection Grant.
go ahead.
Okay, so I would like to have council discuss the council remuneration bylaw if we could. And I'd also like to know what the fire protection, and the fire chief's gone. I'm just wondering about the grant, what? If we shouldn't have some more information on it. Grants are always good news.
Madam Clerk.
This,
Through the chair, the Director of Finance will provide some information on the granting opportunity.
Okay.
So this was a grant that the fire chief applied for. It was to do with cancer in the workplace with firefighters. And each fire department, based on the number of stations that they have, were given an equal amount across the province.
Okay. That was something that was discussed at Roma, I heard also, so, okay, so this is our portion, right? And bylaw 2515.
I just asked the council to discuss this. I mean, there's been a lot of talk at the county that you're gonna look into your remuneration.
Yes,
There's other municipalities that have been doing some surveys.
Yep.
I think it's something we should look at. I feel very strongly that the remuneration to the members of council is not reflective in any way, shape, or form in the amount of work that you have to do here. I'm not trying to get myself a raise as much as I'm trying to make it so that it's something that people can think of doing. And I mean, you don't want to pay too much that people are in it for the money, obviously. But we'd have a long ways to go to ever get to that. But I think you need to make it so that someone that's trying to work and do this job can afford to take the time off work and come to these meetings. And it's not just 2 meetings a month. It's a lot of other work. It's the preparation for this. It's the committee meetings. It's the public. So I just think it should be looked at. I mean, there was this amount of money that's been assigned to us, the same or sort of the same as what the union received, but it's not the same as what the union received in here. I just want to make sure that somebody running a business can afford to sit at this table and put forth an important perspective.
okay. Madam CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor McKelvey's question and all good points. This is a discussion we've had at the CAO group as well. And so to Councillor McKelvey's point, I do know that 2 or 3 municipalities in and around Halliburton and the Muskokas have done some review of council remuneration. So perhaps staff could compile a report that has some of those comparative numbers. The other thing that we've received a few questions on is just council benefits as well. And it might be my recommendation that if staff are to come back with a report, we can also review council benefits, because I'm not sure they've changed in a while.
Okay, I think we should have a report or put something on. I'm gonna say the first meeting in April. So that we can have a more fulsome discussion on this topic.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, if April's our timeline, we'll work towards that.
I think that would. Counselor Saney?
Yes, thank you. In support of that research, the AMO and Roma Democracy Project, this was one of the key issues in terms of getting particularly younger people running.
Right.
And I think there might be some resources on the website as well on how other municipalities approach this. So there is an opportunity to take advantage of the Democracy Project on the site there and see what other municipalities have done and why they've done that. So some rationale as well. Thank you.
Madam CEO first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll take this, this task on. I guess from the reason the bylaws on the report today is, and if council was amenable to passing the bylaw as it sits today, awaiting that follow-up report, it gives us the authority to pay council.
I'm all in favor of that. Counselor McKelvey?
I'm not going to object to that either, but something else I believe there's a policy that the council members are to be paid mileage to come to meetings. Very few of us claim that. I think it's something that the staff could just do, like just figure out what the mileage is, and if we come to a meeting, just make a tick and just do this so that it's, I think there's a feeling around here, and I am speaking for others, but probably shouldn't, that they don't want to do that. And I think it's something that we're supposed to be paid, and we should just do it so that it's not up to one or two members of council to put that claim in, when it should be all of us.
I didn't know that. You owe me 6 years
Well,
of
if you,
travel.
if you read the policies and the bylaws.
I
you
read them,
would
but
know that.
I don't necessarily absorb, obviously.
Through the chair to Councillor McKelvey, absolutely, and staff will include that within the reporting, and then council can have that discussion through that report.
Counselor McKelvey?
I just think we should implement that today. It's in the policies, it's already in the rules. Let's just. There's a member of council that drives a long ways here, and she doesn't claim her mileage, and I'm going to stand up for her today. So whether she's going to give me heck later or not.
Well, there's a couple. Probably Counselor Saney?
Yeah, I would agree for staff to take it back and bring it back to the council. I think to make a motion and approve it today when it wasn't on our agenda to think about, I might have some things to say about it too. I learned about that particular policy from my predecessor, and that's been how many, 10 years ago? So to make it recognized, I think you had to be a certain distance away from downtown, or I'm not sure, but maybe since we don't have the details, if we could take that away and have staff come back and then make an adoption of the recommendations. If instead of trying to make a motion without of us not having a chance or the public even to see it on our agenda. Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Clerk.
If I may, I think part of the discussion too that council may want to consider within the reporting is there were, and it may not be this current council, but there were previous members of council that did not want to submit and claim for those meetings. They just felt that they were so close and they just didn't want to submit for it. So I think maybe this is a larger discussion that maybe council may want to have, and
Yeah,
it would just, I just don't want to confuse staff really at the end of the day by doing things different ways. If
Yeah.
we can just have a resolution through the report, then we can just proceed and amend whatever we need to amend.
yeah, I think that if whatever it is, whether it be, remuneration for special meetings or for bus trips or for mileage, I don't think it should be up to somebody to decide whether or not they're going to apply for it. It should be equally dispersed. Obviously changes by how far you're traveling, but let's, Councilor McKelvey, I support what you're saying. I don't want to bring it for today. Let's have some time to discuss this and do it right, put it on the agenda.
I'll just add to that then too, that the special council meeting rate has been the same for the almost 19 years that I've been here. So anyway, just also something to consider.
And I think staff can address that just by comparing other committees and groups that meet, and we'll make it similar.
Any other questions? So you have to amend your
If
motion.
council is comfortable with just passing it today and then and staff coming back with a report,
Yeah.
I can read the motion again if council
No, I don't
wishes.
think it's necessary.
Okay,
All
so
those in favor? That is carried. Confirming bylaw?
moved by Councillor Johannesson, seconded by Councillor Singh, that bylaw 2520 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council held during its meeting of January 30th, 2025, be received, read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed.
All those in favor? That is carried. Adjournment?
Moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Sini, be it resolved that the January 30th, 2025 regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 10:56 a.m.
Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everybody. Concludes today's meeting. You don't have to wait a full 2 weeks to see us again, because we're back here on Tuesday, February 4th, 9 a.m. For a special meeting of council on the 2025 budget. See you all then.